Welcome to day 11 of the Mindfulness Challenge. I hope that you're starting to notice these wonderful seeds of awareness that you're planting every time you sit on your cushion or your chair, and how it relates to your everyday life, and how that awareness grows so that we really can be in a different relationship with our everyday experiences, as well as our everyday stressors. That the things that caused us stress before, or that got our sympathetic nervous system activated and fight, flight, and freeze response system, can be there as they are, but we create space and time and respond in a healthier way. So maybe you're noticing, when someone's talking, you use deep listening, and then you don't speak right away and you choose your words mindfully. Or you notice when you're eating food that you're actually savoring the taste of the food and really chewing and paying attention to the texture. Or maybe it's just the way you hold your toothbrush when you're brushing your teeth. Not tightly holding it and strangling it, but instead loosely holding it and relaxing the hand. There's so many different ways that we are conditioned to live and go on autopilot. And so really what we're trying to find is how can we press that rest mode and be in that space as often as possible, because from that space of integration where there's a union between the mind, body, and heart, really our true selves, our best authentic selves show up, and that's where the best everyday experiences come from. Not necessarily always pleasant experiences, as we'd say, but that we can be with whatever arises in that really compassionate, kind, mindful way. So today's sit is going to be really just about coming into just being. What that means is really just allowing ourselves to not have to be active, to not have to be going all the time or trying to achieve something or try to get something done, but just letting ourselves sit back in mindful awareness and observe what it's like to just be. So find your comfortable seated position. Notice if your back is straight, if your shoulders are down, and let your feet or your legs relax into the ground or your feet into the floor, and allow yourself to fully arrive wherever you're coming from or whatever happened earlier, whatever you're concerned about later. Those are not here. So we're going to really practice fully just being in the here and now. Notice the contact points, feet, legs, the sit bones, if our back is gently touching the chair or away from it. And noticing our hands, what they're touching, what sensations are arising. And you might have already noticed that the mind has started getting into thought. Let the mind rest in awareness. Invite it to just notice if the thinking mind starts working as early as possible, and using our mental noting. So while we come into just fully being, let's practice the mental noting. So as we are focusing on our breath, or our body, or sounds in our senses, or loving kindness or heartfulness, we'll notice that the mind will wander. That is for sure. And that we gently, kindly bring it back. But we make a mental note because that will bring awareness to the situation. So again, that's as simple as when the mind wanders in thought, just gently in your mind saying thinking, thinking, thinking. And then you're back in true awareness, just being. Or maybe your physical sensations take your attention, and you can just gently say, sensations, sensations, sensations. Or tightness, tightness, tightness. Whatever it might be. It can be sounds, and all of a sudden you want to put a layer of a judgment on it, and you want to say bad sounds or scary sounds. Let's just come back to awareness, which doesn't have an opinion. So the mental note would be sound, sound, sound. So just coming into awareness of the breath, really seeing what each breath holds, what each breath feels like both inside our body, and then noticing where the mind stays with it or gets distracted. And like clouds in the sky, thoughts will float by. And oftentimes they'll float by and we won't even pay attention to them fully, but they will catch our attention, and next thing we know, we're on a 10th thought away from that first one. So here, notice the thought as early as possible. If we're focused on breath, we gently notice the thought and just name it, mental note, thinking, 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 and come back into attention. So find that anchor spot. Notice the inhale, the space, and the exhale. And notice if the breath is smooth or contracted. And just notice where the mind is. Is the mind paying attention to the breath, or has it been lost in sounds or physical sensations? And then we just gently call it back. Kindly bring it back to the breath. And then gently bring in and invite the anchor words. Simply breathing in or breathing out, or inhale, exhale, whatever fits you. Stay with the inhale, with the words and the physical sensation. Stay with the pause in between, and then be with the exhale. Just fully allowing yourself to be. So inevitably, because everything is coming in and out of awareness, you'll be on the breath. The next thing you know, it's something else that's just tugging at you. The beautiful thing about the practice is that you can't do it wrong. The second that you notice distraction, that was mindfulness. The moment you stayed with focused attention, that's mindfulness. And the time that you drifted off into whatever experience other than the breath, that's just normal. That's what the brain and mind like to do. So we notice it without any judgment. We just come on back, knowing that the practice really is not about deciding if we're doing anything right or wrong or have any opinion about it, but that beyond that, the true awareness piece allows us to see, truly be the observer and be the watcher. So yes, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have physical sensations. We have so many different experiences, right? But instead of having to get caught in the storyline of attachment of what this thought is about me or what this emotion means about me, we notice that they're just human experience. There's no ownership. There's no need to decide if I'm a good person or a bad person. So we just come back right into just being, allowing ourselves to be fully here. And now just come into attention of the body, awareness of what it feels like as a whole. What happens almost if you notice that inhale, it almost feels like so many different layers of the body experience that inhale. Almost an expansion of every cell in our body. And on the exhale, it feels like it shrinks. And that kind of blowing of the balloon up and then letting the air go. Just notice what the body feels like in the here and now. No need to do anything, no need to be active. Plenty of our life we're out there trying to get way too much done in way too little time. And here we just know that allowing ourselves to be in the moment is enough. In awareness. And then just gently take inventory of the body. What is the body telling us about this present moment? You might notice areas of ease or tightness. And as the body has so much wisdom, let's really tune in. And if the stomach feels contracted and tight, let's listen. And just through awareness, it will change the path. Fully welcome the arrival of this new moment. And then just notice the mind and the quality of it. Notice the space in between thoughts or lack of space. Notice if we're in a state of feeling like everything is smooth and at ease, or if there's struggles and resistance. Either is totally fine. And as the body notices change, maybe the body feels some pain or tension, usually we try to avoid it, and that contraction that happens around it causes more pain. So really open yourself up to being with whatever is, that full being. As we get to the end of today's sit, kindly look at what has changed in the last 12, 13 minutes. What has stayed the same? what expectations or kind of thoughts do we have about how this would go or not go. And usually all these thoughts of the future that we have, or concerns and worries, most often those thoughts and worries have nothing to do with reality. Has to do with survival. Has to do with what the brain is wired for. So allowing ourselves to fully be lets us realize that we are in the moment that we need to be in full acceptance. So at this last point, just fill yourself up with that gratitude and loving kindness practice. Both hand in hand here, being grateful for the body that you have, for the mind that has thoughts, and the mind that can be trained to be more present, that has plasticity, that can grow and really redeem itself, for the senses that we have, for the people in our lives, and even the people that might trigger us, because those opportunities of mindfulness are even that much more important. Again, paying attention to the present moment without judgment, and really losing the attachments, the freedom to be fully here now without any strings attached. And just maybe finishing with sending yourself that heartfulness, that loving kindness, that self-compassion, that true energy of fully being alive without any judgment at all, accepting the inner wealth and accepting the authentic self as the true self. And remembering that we don't only practice and sit still for ourselves, but for all beings, and specifically those beings that we see on a daily basis or talk to. And the only way we can find peace in the world is when we find peace within ourselves, fully being. May you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you in day 12. Thank you.